This is the waterfall that we're going to be looking at here. I'm sorry you couldn't make it. The stairs are a little bit steep once you get up here anyway, so you can see it pretty well with the camera. Do you like the waterfall?
I'd love it if I could see it, but I didn't make it.
Tell me about your grandmother. What was her name?
Margaret.
Margaret.
Margaret, her maiden name was Watson. Of course, her married name was Robbins. I think, I don't even know her middle name. I don't know what it was. But she died when I was about 17.
She a pretty neat lady?
She was neat until the last couple of years, and her daughters and sons decided she needed to give up her house, and so she went to live with Lily, her daughter Lily, and that didn't work out so well. She just went downhill after that. Some people just give up, I guess, and don't do well, and so
yeah. What do you remember about her when she was a younger whippersnapper?
Well, she was kind of a whippersnapper. I remember she got angry with me because I was roller skating in her kitchen. No roller skates in the kitchen. No,
Didn't she try to pin you down to do some chores?
No, she...
When you were in the backyard or something? No,
that was Mother's grandmother that used to try and pin her down, and she used to... They had a hedge in front of her house, and Mother used to get down and try and go by without her grandmother.
Now, who was that?
Her.
Which grandmother are you talking about now?
That was Grandmother Watson. That was Nana's, my grandmother's mother. And she used to have Mother come clean her. She had that little oil lamp that I have that she used at night. And she told Mother that was her job to keep that oil lamp clean. And she also used to send my mother to pick, because they had some rental property, and she used to send my mother to pick up the rent.
Ah.
Yeah. And Mother didn't like it, though. Let's see. It's before we went to Florida. It was about the 37, so I would say, something like that.
So you were at home, or where were you during this time?
I guess I was in school or at home. I don't know what I was doing, but they were going to go on a picnic, I think. I don't think they were fishing. And
Who's they?
Huh?
Who's they?
Harry and Peg, Mom's sister and her husband, and my mom and dad. And Harry and it was behind our house. We had water rights. You had to go. We didn't have a dock or anything. They kept the boat somewhere else. It was just a little boat. And it was low tide. And Harry and Daddy went to get the boat. And they came over and they were going to pick up Mother and Peg. Well, they couldn't get in because the tide was out and it was so shallow. So they took off their shoes and they were going to walk out to get in the boat. And it was muddy. It was like the marsh area there, you know. And so, anyway, evidently, she had a basket with their food and a big thermos and had her hands full. And she got so far and she couldn't get out of the mud. She kept sinking it down into the mud, and it was up to her knees. And so the story goes that Harry said, Daddy rode through the mud, was flying over there to pick her up and get her. And all the food floated away in the thermos and whatnot. They lost all their lunch. And I guess Mother was frightened and angry and everything. But anyway, it was an exciting time for them. I don't know. Nan, Cindy's mom was such a good cook. My mom was a good cook too, but she was more of a traditional, you know, meat, vegetable, and potatoes kind of thing, you know. I guess I'd have orange juice, eggs, bacon, toast, coffee. And for lunch, I'd have turkey salad or chicken salad or shrimp salad or something like that. And for dinner, I'd get, what do they call it, surf and turf, where you get a half a lobster tail and a filet mignon. That would be good. And then for dessert, I'd have dough wash. Chocolate mousse is very good too.
So William Robbins died in the earthquake, you think?
I guess he died because they never heard from him. He didn't come home and he never contacted them after that, so one would assume he died, you know.
What year did John and William come over here?
Well, let's see. I think he married my grandmother in 1895, something like that. So it must have been around 1890 or something, you know.
Okay. Why'd they come over here?
They wanted to go west.
Gold?
No. They stopped and they saw Buffalo Bill or Wild Bill, Annie Oakley and all that stuff, you know.
They did?
And the Indians and all, and then he came back and he used to tell my brother, I don't remember that at all, but he used to tell my brother stories about the Indians and everything. And I think he told my brother he was part Indian. He was a big storyteller. And because mother said that Bob went to school and told everybody he was part Indian. Well, I enjoyed last night. I thought that was fun. Everybody was relaxed and kind of made it really nice.
What did we do last night?
We went to Sausalito and had pizza, walked along the boardwalk, and then stopped to see the fantastic bridge at night, which that was very nice. And you have to send me a picture because
I will.
I didn't get it. Oh, well, I hope you all have a wonderful time.
Well, thank you, but it's not for you. You can't leave now.
Oh well.
You have to have a ticket to leave.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you putting up with me.
It smells so good.
So, Easley Sporting Goods. That's nice. Spread it around. How much are they paying you to advertise?
They subsidized the race. Go by, sweetie.
Bye, darling. Have a good time.
What a beautiful necklace you have.
Oh, thank you.
No, we
I have gotten so many compliments on it. You know, I saw it at Talbot's. It was on sale last year.
Mom likes it.
Yes, she does. So many people, and I think, gee whiz. Who was it? Somebody said, oh, your rich jewelry. Wow.
I'm gonna fix your house.
They don't say that when I have on.
Well, have fun taking your taxi back.
So, you take care of yourself and take care of the kids and have a wonderful time.
We will.
Call me when you get back.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Hi, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is my grandfather, and this is my mom, I think, and it's hard to see the faces, and this was one of her brothers, and I think this was a cousin. Raccoon coat, boy. You went to the ball game and you had a raccoon coat, and you were something else. And anyway, that was my dad. That's my mom.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Fort Dix in New Jersey, that's where they sent him. He volunteered, and they wouldn't take him because he was underweight. And so they got married. They were in love, but he wanted to wait till after the war, but so they wouldn't take him. So they got married, and then they drafted him. And so he was sent to Fort Dix, and my mom got to go there one time and see him, but she could only talk to him through the fence. She didn't get to touch him or go in, or he got to go out or anything. But these are some pictures that he sent
like
her.
training or something?
Yeah, and he sent those pictures to her.
Wow.
And that's my grandmother with her niece, I guess.
Tell me about this picture.
Oh, well, I guess I was 3 or 4 or something. Anyway, they just took that picture, and there I am in the snow. I was fat, fat baby. And that was our dog Larry on the beach. They were just walking. Somebody took a picture of them. And
Oh, it looks like it's snowing a lot there.
oh, they had gone to Florida. This was 1934, I think. That my father, that was a picture taken. He used to have stag dinners. He liked to cook too. That's where Sydney and I guess and the boys and anyway, he liked to cook, and he used to go.
Oh, it's a sleigh ride.
Yeah, that was this friend of mine who had a sleigh ride, and that's me right there. I had a big picture of that they gave me. But this was when Mom and Dad first came back from Florida, and our dog Billy came to meet them. That's me.
Did your mom is that your mom singing?
This is my mom here. This was a friend of theirs, and that's my dad.
Now, tell me about the singing here.
That's what they did all the time. My mom played the piano, and both my mom and dad sang well and enjoyed singing. And when they had company after dinner, everybody, that was before television, of course, and that was the main form of entertainment. And so they used to sing. I just remember all the old songs that my mom and dad used to sing, and I learned. And the first, I like those, all those.
Which one do you remember?
Well, I can remember my dad always used to sing "My Gal Sal" to my mom, and let's see what. Let me call you sweetheart. All those old ding dong songs are very got a lot of memories, because they used to sing those. Then when I grew up, it was Shadrach when I was in high school, and then all the big band stuff,
Like what?
Oh, like Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade and Tommy Dorsey and Frank Sinatra, and we used to go into New York, and not every day, but on occasion with maybe 3 or 4 couples when I was in high school. We'd go in and go to the Rainbow Room in New York up on top of, I forget which building it was, but anyway. Or we went to the Rose Room in the Pennsylvania Hotel, different places, and we'd order horse's necks, which is lemonade with the peel going all the way up. They called it a horse's neck. I've never seen that or heard that since. And you had a cover charge, so, or else a minimum one or the other, And so we used to order French fries, potatoes a lot of times with horses' necks at different places. I don't know, not in the Rainbow Room. I don't remember really what we ordered, but then there were.
What bands? Do you remember any of the bands that you saw?
I saw Jimmy Dorsey with Helen O'Connell and at Pennsylvania Hotel, and saw Tommy Dorsey at the Rainbow Room with Joe Stafford and the Pied Pipers and Frank Sinatra. Then I saw Louis passed, what was his name? No, not Louis, what was his name? I've forgotten. He used to, up at the log cabin in Armoncourt, we went there a couple times. Les Brown. Oh, and I think Doris Day was first started with him. She was so cute. Benny Goodman I saw in 1939 when we went to the World's Fair in New York. That was, and my mom and my brother and I. And so Bob kind of led us around, and they had Benny Goodman and Lionel Hampton and everybody outside playing, you know, and everybody standing around watching. I remember standing around watching.
Where was that?
Flushing Meadows, which is part of Long Island, actually. And now it's all built up, but it was nothing out there at that time. Yeah, the little one.
Where are you on that one then?
I'm right over here somewhere. Let's see. There's Sally. That's me right there.
That's okay, stay put.
Okay, because you're pointing to a different direction, a different
I
direction.
know, but now I know, but I couldn't see in the other one. This is
Maybe it's a
Sally.
different-
This is the hostess.
Well, tell me about this
It
sleigh
was
ride.
her birthday.
1933.
It was her birthday,
winter
and
of
she had this sleigh ride for all her friends, and they hired the horse and whatnot, and had you know, luncheon and whatnot. It was very, very nice.
Was that before there were cars?
No. And at the Boca Raton Club. That was in, I guess, around 1939 too. That's me, and Florida, and that's me, and that's a friend of my brother's, and that was Aunt Dorothy, my brother's first wife. You knew Dorothy. That was in Playland, which is in Rye, and it's was like a little Disney World at that time. All kinds of rides they had for toddlers and whatnot, and we used to go there in the summertime, and in the wintertime they had ice skating, and in the summertime they had custard ice cream, and they shot fireworks, and we used to go because we lived right a half hour away. We used to go sometimes in the summer, go down and have ice cream and watch the fireworks. And they had people there that did painting and whatnot, and this was silhouette stuff, and somebody did that. And Mama kept it. Senior in high school, and that's my uncle took that.
And that's
Ethel's
that's a
husband.
great picture.
Nelson.
He was a photographer?
Yeah, he
Great
took.
picture.
He was a regular professional or commercial photographer in New York, and he wanted me to go have my hair done and whatnot. And he'd take some pictures of me so I could go. Could model, and you know. So anyway, he took some of those pictures.
Did you ever do any modeling?
No, one of the Clancy D'Elia's shop in Greenwich wanted me to model bathing suits, and my mom said, no way. Anyway, this is me, my dad, and my mom. My brother was in the service, and we were making a recording, which was quite something that they had bought because they really liked music and all the new stuff that came out, so they bought this thing so they can make records.
Oh, cool.
And so we made a record.
You made a record?
Yeah, to send to
Wow.
my brother.
So you were saying, like, were you saying hi to him and stuff?
I was singing something they were doing. I don't know. Yeah. Daddy had the people, some painter, and when he went to Japan, he liked this picture because it made me look older, for one thing, you know. And so he had them paint that with Japanese, and it came out pretty good, except I had a little more slant to my eyes. My mom was very artistic. She wasn't afraid to tackle anything. She reupholstered chairs, and she always was making arrangements and fixing things and whatnot. She really was talented in that way, and she had a lot of, she enjoyed music and playing the piano and singing and whatnot, so she was a pretty happy lady. And was a great mom. That's all I can tell you about
She was
her.
a lot of fun, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. She was. And you know who takes after her more than anybody is Robin, and makes a party. Robin just couldn't get all the enthusiasm like Nana used to.
Yeah, she does have that characteristic.
So you think, oh, wish she was here. You know, it was one of those kind of things. So let me stick this back in. Wait a minute. This has to go back in. Wait a minute.
Did you ever ice skate or anything in Greenwich Park?
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to ice skate in Bruce Park. Had a couple of lakes that used to freeze over, and then in Millbrook, which was a residential area, had a big lake there. We used to ice skate there. Then that's where I fell in.
In Millbrook?
Millbrook, yeah. And let's see, where else did I?
What happened about the fall in? I didn't hear about that.
Oh, I went with this girlfriend of mine, Jane Lee, and I liked this one particular boy. His name was Jack Emerson, and she liked his brother, who was Chuck Emerson. So we went ice skating in front of their house all around. And we went to a weak spot, and in we went, both of us. We had come after school, and I had on a wool coat with a fur collar and whatnot. Anyway, we went in, and some men across the lake were sweeping off their dock, and so they came with their brooms and laid down on the ice and gave us, and put the brooms out. So we got a hold of them, and they pulled us out like that. And they asked us if we knew anybody. Yes, we know those people up there. So they called, and they came and got us and took us up there. They put Jane in one bathroom in a hot tub, and they put me in another one. And we had scratches on us, and their dad came and put the cure comb on our scratches and whatnot. They called our parents, and my mom came to pick me up, and they had put all our clothes on the clothesline. These really sad looking things. I don't think I could ever wear that again. But that was a year that I fell off a horse, I got run over, I fell in the ice, and I fell in the reservoir. And Mother said, every time the phone rings, I'm petrified they're going to tell me something else happened to you.
Who was your first boyfriend?
My first boyfriend was Jack Emerson, and unfortunately, I guess I was 12 or 13, and there were a group of boys, and this other boy invited me to go to a movie, and Jack invited somebody else to go to a movie. In the afternoon, of course, we went. I was telling Blake yesterday about falling in the ice and in front of the Emerson's home, and he was killed, I guess about a year after that. I think he was 15 maybe. He was riding his bike down into Millbrook, which was a nice residential section where he lived, and he was going around the corner, and of course a post truck came.
That's so sad.
I was standing out in front of the theater. We used to go to the movies after high school. We could go, it started at 2 o'clock, and we got out at 2 o'clock, and the theater started at 2 o'clock, so if we rushed right over there, they had the Pathé News and the cartoons and all that before the feature. And we had been in the movie, and a couple of us, maybe 3 or 4, standing outside before we dispersed to go home. And this drugstore next door, Bergeron's, it was an alley that ran along where the truck for the drugstore came out. and he came backing out and shoo, up on the sidewalk and knocked me down. And right out in front was a policeman directing traffic, because in Greenwich, they didn't have any lights. They had a policeman just at all the intersections. And that's the way the people wanted it. They liked that individuality or whatever. And so that on the main streets. Now on some of the side streets they did put up lights, but down Greenwich Avenue was always somebody directing. So I just that scared me. I don't remember, you know, really being afraid. I remember more challenged, I guess, than afraid. Because I don't know, my aunt I used to say, well, don't tell her she can't do it because she's going to take the dare and do it. I was, you know, I guess I was stubborn and I don't know. But anyway, I used to do things I used to kind of be afraid to do, make myself do it, you know. But I don't ever, except, you know, the usual worries that people have about losing somebody, you know, or something, but I don't ever remember being afraid of condition.
So, tell me about your scariest memory.
Well, it's not, I guess the first time was when I was alone after we were married and Cindy had gone on some sort of cross-country flight with, I don't know if he'd gone, who he'd gone with, I don't remember, but he was gone for a couple of days. I don't know, he went to fly somebody somewhere or something, I don't remember. Anyway, and we lived in a house that they had made 2 apartments, one down first floor and one on the second floor. And in the hallway, when you came in, there was a central hall, and then you went up the stairs to the second floor, and there was a door into our apartment. But in that hall was a telephone. And because the couple that lived upstairs, I think he was with some sort of utility where they had to get a hold of him, because you couldn't get a telephone unless you had some reason, you know. And so the phone was in the hall there. And Sidney called me, and I went out in the hall and talked to him. But we didn't have a washing machine. It was just a regular little apartment, and they didn't have very many washaterias, and they weren't so nice, really. And so excuse me, take a napkin. And so anyway, well, I'm losing my train of thought.
How was that scary?
Well, I was washing the clothes in the bathtub. That's how I washed. I used to take sheets and things to the laundromat, but I used to wash the socks and underwear and all that stuff in the bathtub. And so, anyway, I did my washing in the bathtub, and then I put it in a basket or something to wait to take out in the morning to hang on the line. I did not go outside and hang it up. And then I took my shower. No, we didn't have a shower. I took a tub bath. Anyway, I piddled around and I finally went to bed, I guess, I don't know, close to midnight. And we, of course, didn't have air conditioning, so the windows were open. And then the bedroom that we had, I had a window on either side of the bed. And so anyway, I got in bed and then turned out the lights and whatnot, and then I heard somebody scratching on the screen and saying, "Let me in, beautiful, I'm not going to hurt you." So I took 2 deep breaths and screamed, "Help!" And a little lady that was deaf next door came, came and said, "What's the matter, honey?" And the people upstairs heard too, and they came down and they called the police and whatnot. And so then when the police came, they said, "Well, you didn't see him?" "No, I didn't see him." "Did you recognize his voice?" "No." What did you?" "I heard him run away when I screamed, and I heard a car start up." And so, anyway, they left. And the people upstairs had a teenage boy, and he slept on my couch the rest of the night. They said, "He's going to stay down here with you." So anyway, but they caught the fellow, and they could, because he had left his tracks all around the house. He had a stool up to, a box that he'd been standing on looking in the bathroom window, and they said they could got perfect footprints because with a cat's paw. I always remember that from the heel. That's a kind. Anyway, he was a squadron mate of Sydney's. I went to play bridge the next morning, and Dorothy picked me up, and she picked up a couple other ladies, and I told them what happened. And we go to bridge, and at the officers' club, and all of a sudden the MPs come to the door. And they have this fella with them, and they're beckoning to his wife, who's playing bridge with us.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd been... So anyway, that was that one. The first time I went to Lake George was when I was about 10, I guess. And there was nothing there except the island out in the middle of the lake, which was owned by several wealthy people, and had a big hotel out there and whatnot. And we stopped at Bolton Landing, which was the landing that a lot of people took the boat out to go to that hotel and whatnot. And we went swimming, and I remember diving in. You could see the bottom of the lake. It was so pure and clean at that time,
It's cold too, isn't it?
Probably 25 feet deep, and you could see the bottom, Very.
What do you remember about your childhood with Bob?
Oh, he wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me in his room. "Don't you put your foot in here."
Why not?
It was just being bossy, No, don't put your foot over the doorstep. Don't. You're gonna come in here. And of course, I immediately would put my foot over the doorstep because I'd challenge him. Oh, anyway.
Did you guys compete a lot, or did he always try to get first place?
He was pretty much the boss, but then he was going to play hooky, and he'd say, "Honey," oh, he was so sweet, "you go see what Mama's going to do this morning," because she used to take us to school. "And if she's going to go see Peg or one of her friends, I don't want her to see me standing when I'm hitchhiking to New York." And so I had to go say, "Mom, what are you going to do this morning?" And let him know that. No, he used to get around me, he sweet talk me and get me to do what he wanted. He used to tell me we were supposed to make our own beds. And he used to say, "I can't do it like you do. You make it so well. I can't do it. I wish you'd do it for me." And of course I'd go immediately and make his bed. Oh, yeah. It made the 4 years, I was flattered, I guess, that he would ask me to do that.
I remember you used to always say that he would always get first dibs on stuff, or
Yeah, we had a swing downstairs, and we'd come up for dinner. Mother would call us in for dinner, and we through dinner, and we could go out and play then and for a half hour or something until 8 o'clock. And we had only one swing. And he would say, I'd say, I dibs the swing. He'd say, I box it, and that's much stronger than that. No matter what I said, he had one that was stronger. So he always got the swing.
So what was he going to New York for?
To watch the big bands at the Paramount Theater. They always had Benny Goodman and all the big bands in the Paramount.
So did he used to practice drums in your house all the time?
Oh yeah, he had an orchestra, and he had his drum set.
In Greenwich he had an orchestra?
When he was in high school, he had a little band, and he had his drum set in the sunroom. And they used to come and practice, and I used to sit up on the stairs and listen to them. So he always was very well, my mom and dad were also very musically inclined. They sang, and I just enjoyed music very much.
What songs do you remember them singing around the house?
Oh, they used to sing, well, every time they had company, my mother would play the piano, and they would, for dinner guests, they'd all sing, the old things, My Gal Sal, and Let Me Call You Sweetheart, and all those really old songs, you know. My dad had a good voice, too.
So what do you remember about Sam?
I never heard him curse or raise his voice. He was very patient, very sweet man. Loved, adored my mom. When she would get mad at him, and he'd get so upset. And I can remember going and saying, Mama, please go. Don't give Daddy a kiss or whatnot. I can remember trying to go between. Well, we better push off, sweetie.
So you were a child of the 20s.
Yeah. That's right.
You were born in 25.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember anything about the 20s?
No, I can remember, but I couldn't tell you what year. Certain things like, I can remember my mom and dad listening to a boxing match. It was very exciting on the radio. That was something, I guess, because radio was new and they could hear, you know, they had the announcer where, and I don't even remember if it was Gene Tunney or Max Baer or who it was, but I can remember them listening to that, you know. I don't remember what year that was, because I was too little, you know, to relate to the year, till I got to some things in the 30s.
How about when you were a kid? And do you remember much about your grandmother?
No, I don't remember much about my grandmother. I remember when my mom and dad, one time, the one that went to Florida, and she came and stayed at our house with us. And my mom and dad took the train down to Florida, and then they had to take a taxi cab back from the train station to the house. And we knew when they were coming back, and my brother, we lived up on a hill, and my brother took the car and drove down the hill with my grandmother and me in the car, and waited at the end of the driveway for them to come along. And I remember when they got there, they were, you drove down here, you know, because he was, I guess, maybe 14 something, and they were shook up, and her mom said, her mother said, well, he did just fine. You know, very, she stood up for him because he was the first grandchild, and so he could do no wrong, you know. And when they wrote those letters from Miami, how is my boy, you know, and whatnot, I was a baby, evidently, but anyway, I just, and then we stayed at her house with her once when they went to Florida. And my brother was so lonesome, and he homesick. He was always, and he wrote all these letters, I miss you, I want you to come home, and whatnot. He was...
This was when you were in Florida?
I wasn't in Florida. We were in Connecticut, and my mother and Dad went to Florida on vacation for a couple of weeks.
Oh, and you guys were staying with your grandmother?
Uh-huh.
What was her name?
Her name was Sarah Ann Robbins. Originally, she was Watson.
So she named her daughter Sarah Ann.
Yeah. Her oldest, Edith was the oldest in the family, and I don't know who Edith was named after, if it was her mother or his mother or who. Well, that was special, like I told you, I guess, because it was places I had never been before, and it was actually sort of a sightseeing trip, which I had never done before, or I didn't. They might have thought, my mom and dad might have thought that they were showing me something before, but I didn't. I was too young to appreciate it, and this, well, I guess I was 13 or something like that, and I really enjoyed going up. I remember how bad driving up the mountain was when the first time of the day we tried to go up White Mountain. They closed the road because the clouds came in so heavy you couldn't see. And then it cleared enough so we were able to go up the second day. And I tried to get out of the car and the wind was so strong I couldn't. They don't have anything up there but a weather station, you know. And then we went to, I think it's Echo Lake, and we went to some other lake and spent some time on it, and my dad rented a boat, and we motored around the lake, and it just was, I guess they were relaxed, and you know, I guess when my brother was there, we would probably argue and everything. Maybe it was, you know, it was not as peaceful, and they were not. But this time they were catering to me. So.
Did they go see your brother play in his orchestra? What was it called?
Oh, and the Bad Habits, 4 Bad Habits. They played in Palm Beach, on the ocean, in a nightclub, a dinner. A large restaurant called Wirtz, and there was a little sign over one of the doors inside. I don't remember if it was on the way to the restroom or if it was a petition somewhere, but everybody goes from bad to Wirtz.
How do you spell Wirtz?
W-E-R-T''S. That was his name. And
that was
he
where?
Owned it. Right on the ocean in Palm Beach.
In Palm Beach.
Yeah. And
so what was it like to go see? Were there 5 in the orchestra?
4 Bad Habits.
That's the name of it. 4 Bob.
John, Bob, and I don't remember the 2 other fellows. John was his good friend. John played, was a piano player, drummer, and John played
Clarinet.
Clarinet, had a couple of instruments, flute. He was and he did the arranging for them and whatnot. And then after
What was
that,
John's last name?
Hubner. And he, after they disbanded, he opened a little repair shop and sales he repaired instruments and sold instruments, but he had mostly was for
What is
repairing.
this? Where was that located?
Well, they lived in Lake Worth, and I don't remember if his store was in Lake Worth or Palm Beach. He's dead now. He died, of course. But
I wonder if it'd be kind of fun if there was some sort of recording or some, more pictures of Bob's band.
yeah, I don't know. We went to. There are two stories about the band. One was Christmas Eve when I guess, let's see, I must have been 17 maybe. And Christmas Eve we went, because he was working. So my mom and dad and I and another couple of friends of theirs went for dinner at the restaurant, and Bob's and his band were playing. And my dad was drinking Manhattans, and my mother said, "Would you see what you can do, because I don't want him drinking, those are too strong, and it worries me." She said, "See what you can do." So I said, "Oh, Daddy, you don't want to drink that. I want to taste that cherry," because they all had a cherry in the bottom, So I thought I was helping, and I got so sick. Oh, they had to take me out, walk me up and down on the ocean.
It was just all the cherries or the alcohol?
I don't know, but the cherries, that's all I could think of with those cherries, because they were soaked in alcohol, Anyway, that was a bad thing. Then the other one was when I was pregnant and we were in Shreveport, and Sydney flew down with one of the other boys, the fighter boys that worked with him in Shreveport. It was still during the war. They flew down and visited my mom and dad, and they went. They went to Wirtz for dinner, but my brother wasn't there, but he was up in Iceland or something, in the service. But Dorothy was staying with them, and Dorothy was pregnant also, the same time I was. So, and Dorothy was such a beautiful girl. So anyway, they went to dinner at Wirtz, my mom and dad, Dorothy and Dick Lee and Sydney. And there's a couple of fellows that were in the service that were sitting at a table nearby them, kept eyeing Dorothy. And finally Dick Lee said, "Dorothy," because she was pretty big, "why don't you stand up and those fellows will quit eyeing you," or something. And so anyway, that was because she was so pretty, but she was very pregnant, and of course sitting down, and you couldn't tell that at the table, but anyhow. So. Mr. Gallagher and Mr. somebody else.
What about the front and back parlors?
Oh, well, my grandmother's house had a front and a back parlor. The front parlor faced the front of the house, and then there were sliding doors, big, wide sliding doors. And then you could open those and make it all one, or you could separate them, and that was, the back parlor had the phonograph that you wound up, the tall thing, and the record was, you put the record in there. And I used to think that was wonderful. We didn't have one at my house, and I thought that was great. And of course, I guess it was outdated then. I don't know, because I was little, and I don't know anybody had anything better. So I used to really enjoy that when we'd go to visit, and my mom would be having tea with my grandmother and her sisters, and I would play Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Shane or something like that, and they were quite famous comedians, and I guess they were from vaudeville, and they were well known. I think you could probably look them up and find them. Anyway, she had several records where they were on the telephone, and I just remember, hello, hello, Miss, can't remember the conversation. But I can remember several of the records. One of them was Sherry, and it must have been, what was that tenor famous back then? I can't remember. Anyway, maybe it was Rudy Valley or somebody, I don't know. Anyway, listening to that, George Brown reminded me of it.
So you got in trouble for playing the records?
Well, they didn't want to hear them over and over again because I'd play them 6 or 7 times, So they make me turn it off.
So tell me about Uncle Bob, and did he like to listen to the music in the parlor? Or was he already...
As young, you mean?
Yeah, in the front.
He always had the music on. That's why I knew all like Ella Fitzgerald and some of those people that were really not my generation. They were still popular, but I mean, he went and used to hitchhike into New York to go see all the different bands and whatnot.
Did you play the piano, or did you...
No, I took lessons for I guess a year maybe or something, and my piano teacher, I told Lisa, my piano teacher called my mom and said I had too many outside activities. It was interfering with my piano music, and she thought I should quit Girl Scouts and some of those things, but we can spend my time practicing. And so my mom said, how are you enjoying your piano? And how do you feel about giving up Girl Scouts and whatnot? And of course she called back the piano teacher and said that I was enjoying the other things, and she thought they were good for me too, and so forth. So that was the end of my piano career. And I was glad, because I didn't want to practice more. Because I guess maybe I was 10. Got it. Delicious. My mother and I were having dinner with Aunt Peg and Harry, because my dad was in Washington and my brother was in the Air Force. And he was still in training at basic or one of those. And we were just finished dinner, and the news came on and said that Pearl Harbor had been bombed, and it was very shocking. And that's all there was on the news, and we did not have television then, we only had radio. I wasn't afraid of World War II either, but I kind of took it for granted, I guess, everything. We have in Florida, and I think in Greenwich too, but I spent more winters there, right then in Florida. We had a blackout on our headlights. We had to paint them and just leave a slit of light at the bottom. And besides blackout curtains on all the windows and everything. And when they wouldn't let us go on the beach, the Coast Guard patrolled on horseback up and down the beach, and you get on the beach, and they said nobody on the beach after dark, because they had people, Germans, getting a lot of submarines and whatnot on the beach. And then they started, I think I told Blake, we had a little pail, like with some water, and then we had a bottle with kerosene and some rags, so when we came in from the beach, you could wipe the tar off your feet, because when the submarines hit the oil boats and whatnot, the tar would come in on the beach and the water and whatnot. Wow. All kinds of things. Of course, gasoline. We had, and when we went on our honeymoon, Sydney traded shotgun shells for gasoline stamps with a friend at the service station, so we could drive to St. Martinville. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to get there on the... It's a shame he was able to exchange him, huh?
Not take you to a nice beach place.
So, anyway, so, and my mom and dad had gotten married in World War One, but and that's why they let me get married, I think, because they had gone through that episode, and that influenced them, because I thought they're never going to let me get married, you know. And but I mean, of course, my brother talked to him, said he's a fine fellow. I think you know, if he'll be a good husband, I think you ought to let her get married. So
you came home at Thanksgiving and told them that?
And Bob and Dorothy got married December 13th. And, let's see, they had moved down to Punta Gorda. They'd been transferred, their whole squadron. And so, Sidney was Bob's best man, and I was maid of honor for Dorothy. And it was just a little wedding, you know.
So how'd you go back and get all your stuff out of school? You had all your things there.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't that complicated, I guess. I had a steamer trunk, and I had it for years. And you know those trunks that stand up that you see people in the movies, the old-fashioned thing where you can hang your clothes, drawers on the other side. I had one of those, and we shipped it Railway Express down from Connecticut, and I guess I shipped it back to Florida that way. So, anyway, that's how it was. That's the end. Before I was married, I was going to school in Tallahassee, and my brother had a house. He was in the Air Force in Thomasville. And two of the pilots in that same flight, the three of them had a 3-bedroom house. And so they were having a party one night, and Dorothy was there. That was before they were married. And some other people, I don't even remember, except Sidney was there, and his roommate was Jack Hershey, and he was there. And other people besides the 3 boys and those fellas, I don't remember. Anyway, somebody wanted to leave, and I think it was a girl, and she said, "I can't get out, somebody's behind me." And Jack Hersey said, "Oh, here, Betty, take these keys and move my car, please." Well, I didn't want to say I don't know how to drive. So I took the keys, and I went out, and I got in the car, and I figured out how to start it, but I went forward instead of backward. And I hit the car in front of me that wanted to get out. And everybody came running out of the house because they heard the bang, and they all came out. "What happened? What's the matter?" "Well, I don't know how to drive." So it was very embarrassing. But they were all very nice. Nobody got excited or anything, so that was good. I got away with it to a certain extent.
1 and 6 through 10.
That sounds
So
bad.
1 and then 6 through 10.
Okay.
Ready, Mark? Ready, Mark? Okay, let's do
1 and 6 to 10. And go!
Quick reaction.
When I got married, my mom happened to have 2 irons, or 3 irons, I guess. Maybe 3 toasters, because she gave one of all of that to Dorothy and Bob and one to me. So, because you couldn't buy them during the war. They were not available at all. So I had a toaster and an iron and things that were not available. I mean, you couldn't have bought them. Nobody could give them to you or anything. So.
Now, did you have showers or anything before you got
No,
married?
I had no showers because I was supposed to get married at Easter time. And Cindy said, "Oh, I'm going overseas. We got to get married now."
Everything now.
And so, when they moved, my aunts and uncles and everybody were coming to the wedding. But well, all of a sudden, we went to, this was like 3 weeks before. He said, I'm going overseas, and so we need to move the wedding up. So we moved it up to January 3rd, and we scurried around. And at that time, so many of the stores were closed because the season didn't open in Florida. They didn't have all year round the season. They had specialty stores that came from Nantucket and Bal Harbor and whatnot in the winter, and they moved down about mid-March, and the big season was March, April, May in Florida. And some of the stores opened in February, but nobody. I mean, that was because it was more of a social season, more affluent people. There weren't that many poor people or medium-priced people that went to Florida that time. So anyway, we went to, there were no stores hardly in Delray, and we went to Palm Beach and had to order the flowers, and they weren't sure what they, it was, you know, tough deal.
What about your dress? Have you already got a new dress?
A friend of my mom's, her daughter, when I went to talk to the minister and to her, she was the organist for the church and whatnot, and I was going to get married in a street length dress. And she said, I would like you to wear my daughter's dress. And she insisted, and so that was very nice. That's what I did. I wore her daughter's dress. So, and the only people we had, because we just came before Christmas, and so were some neighbors and city squadron mates and my brother and so on and so forth. It was small. And his cousins, Mars.
Oh, they came over.
They came from Miami. He was stationed in Miami. Pete was Marcia's husband. So they drove up for the wedding. And we had driven down there, and I had met them. We drove down one night and had dinner with them and drove back.
Were you originally going to be married in Connecticut, in your hometown?
No, I was going to be married in Florida, but at Easter, you know, whatever, but anyway.
So where did you have the reception?
At my house, at my mom's house. They had, well, we had a regular big wedding cake that came from the baker shop in West Palm, I think. And we had champagne punch. It started out as champagne with a little fruit and stuff like that. But all the little flyboys, my dad had a closet where he had orange gin and all this stuff that you don't even see anymore. So they got a hold of that. Anyway. So then we went to Louisiana on our honeymoon.
Oh, what a disappointment.
The window was
What a
out.
disappointment.
She
35 miles an hour.
She was in her trousseau and the rain kept coming in the broken window, getting her wet.
Sitting, locked the keys in the car and they had to break the window to get in.
Why did he break the passenger side window?
Why would you break the driver's side?
Betty won't mind.
Could have been the back window.
Took us, let's see, took us about 4 days to get from Palm Beach to, and then we hit New Orleans, and I was all excited because I'd never been to New Orleans. And I said, we're going to spend the night here. No, we're going to keep going. So we went, but then he got really tired, so we stopped in, well, at that time was a little stop in the road called Raceland. And we went in, it was, I guess it was a bar, restaurant, cafe, or something.
Oh,
and upstairs they had rooms. And so we were hungry, so he ordered 2 hamburgers. Well, I couldn't eat it. It was so full of garlic, and I wasn't used to that hamburger full of garlic. It was terrible. Anyway, so we went upstairs, and in the room they had glasses full of water, and they had all kind of stuff. And so I said, I don't know if I want to sleep in that bed.
What do you mean glasses? You mean where somebody had been there before?
Yeah. I mean, there was, you know, hadn't been cleaned up or whatever, you know. Anyway, that wasn't such a good night. But then the next night we went to St. Martinville, and we got there, and all his cousins came to, we walked in, and one of his cousins came to meet me and whatnot, and several of the older people didn't speak English, and so they were what does it mean? And so I guess it was Cindy's mother said, they said you have nice teeth. And so then I thought, I'd been smiling, and then I thought, ooh. And anyway, but then his mother got sick, and next door at Mars's and whatnot, Deg was there, and her husband, they had to take him to the hospital that night, and he died in the elevator going up to the emergency room. So there was a wake for 3 days next door while we were there, and it rained the whole time. And the street at that time wasn't paved, it was full of mud, and I had all these new shoes and whatnot.
My wonderful memory.
What an adventure.
But it was fine, you know.
Oh, what a sport. 18 years old in a new country.
Anyway, it was fun.
So is that when they decided to go shoot the stray dogs at that point? Or?
At least you had hot water.
At
least you had a hot water heater.
That's right. Oh, Cindy's mother had not had a hot water heater. She had a heater that went on a coal stove or something. And during the war she couldn't buy any, so her brother-in-law was a plumber, and he found a stove, a gas stove, for her, and a hot water heater. But it was one of those, you want to take a bath? Well, we go turn it on to heat the water, you know, and then you had to hurry up and turn it off or it would blow, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, anyway, that was all different. And she had an ice box that I wasn't used to. Lots of things. This is bad.
What?
And letters.
These are things you're going to bring for Christmas?
Yeah. I'm going to give somebody and tell them these postcards, keep them. They're sort of collector's items that come back from the 20s and so forth. Then I have some letters that from my grandmother and whatnot that might be of sentimental value, not monetary value, of course. And then I have a handkerchief that my grandmother's brother sent her from Ireland for her for Christmas in 1890. And I have the Christmas card. It says, you know, Merry Christmas. It's got flowers. Doesn't look like a Christmas card. And the handkerchief is a large handkerchief with her initial on it. And let's see, what else do I have? The letters that my mom wrote to my dad when he was in the service. And I have some jewelry that's old. And I have some funny little things. Cindy brought back from Korea a cigarette case. And it's inlaid with mother of pearl. And it's a pretty little box, and I thought, oh, I'm going to give that to Mark. Keep all kind of little things in it or whatever, you know. It's a pretty little box. Anyway, that's what I thought I'd do.
Very interesting.
Not much fun, I guess, but it's things I don't want to throw away, and maybe somebody would like them.
Of course.
So I thought, well, I have those in my drawer. I'm going to just bundle them up, and that's going to be stocking gifts. I'm just going to give stocking gifts and a check.
This is the famous fork of Christmas dinner.
It's bone.
The bone
with
fork.
sterling silver carvings. It's got a
It will
little
be remembered
holder.
for all time.
So it doesn't sit on the
you
counter?
watch this video, remember this fork.
Wasn't that your mom and dad's?
Yes.
Y'all, that cheese is getting a little
You can't. This is sterling right here. Right here, that's sterling, and that's bone. So that's an antique.
Whose was it?
It was my mom and dad's, probably my mom's mom's, probably.
Your grandmother.
Yeah, probably my grandfather. Yeah.
Well, we really like it. It's beautiful.
Remember the Great Depression?
No, not really. I didn't. I don't remember being denied anything or anything like that. The only thing I remember, my dad, they used to have a lot of auctions, and they still do in Greenwich, because they had so many estates, so many wealthy people, and they're the ones that lost their money in the stock market and all that kind of thing. My dad and mom lost a negligible amount. They had not that much invested. And, but my dad bought a lot of nice things in the early 30s, I think. A couple of things that I don't even remember, but I remember Mother saying, Daddy had bought that at auction, you know, because he used to like to go. And after I was married, I always wanted to go to an auction. And after I was married, when I was pregnant with Gary, and I went to visit Mom and Dad in Florida, and they took me up to Connecticut and, for a week or two, and my dad took me to an auction while I was there, and that's where I bought that little chair that's in the guest room with the brown seat with the tufting, you know, with the kind of ornate top on it. It was a whole set that was up, and my dad just said, see if there's something you'd like to have. And I said, I'd like to have one of those chairs. Well, some man bid on the whole lot. It was a set, you know, it had a couple of couches, maybe 6 chairs and 2 love seat kind of things or something. Some man bought them all. So my dad went to him, went over to him and said, my daughter really had her heart set and so forth. Would you consider selling me one of them? So that's how I got that chair.
You got a pretty good deal on it?
I don't know. I have no idea what he paid, you know. I don't know. I'm sure the man didn't soak him, you know, but he probably paid proportion, you know, to what it was. Daddy was stationed in Shreveport, and then he was transferred back down to the west coast of Florida, and the only place he could find for us to stay was an apartment, and it was quite filthy. And of course, so I left Gary with Mom in Delray Beach, and I went over there to scrub the apartment, and I just was finishing getting it clean when Sidney came in and said that peace had been declared, and so we didn't ever move into the apartment.
Tell me how Gary got his name.
Well, Papa wanted to name him Darnayville after his grandfather, and I said, okay, but I thought it was Donnyville, and I said, okay, we'll call him Donnie. But then Cindy's mother wrote and said, no, it's not Donnyville, it's Darnayville, D'-A-R-N-E-V-I-L-L-E. And I said, oops, we're not going to name him that. I don't know what they'll call him, because Nan had a nickname, Tutut, Pikit, Piyun, Poop, Jojo, a nickname for everybody. And so I wanted something short, so I took Gary. And that's what we named him. Sidney's mother, Sidney said that she used to drive, but she didn't drive at all when I knew her. She was in an automobile accident, you know, a train, the sugar refinery train over at that plantation right in St. John Laver in St. Martinville had a little train just to use on the plantation to cart the cane back and forth. And the road went across it, and she was in the car as a passenger with this other couple, friends of hers, and the train hit them. And so I don't know if it broke her pelvic bone. She was injured. It wasn't life-threatening or anything, but she was injured, because I'm not sure when this was. And as a matter of fact, I think Jimmy Martin, who was their lawyer, who was Bobby Olivier's father, I think he sued them, and she got some money, which helped her a whole lot, I'm sure. Anyway, that's the only one. Then I don't think she ever drove after that.
What did she do when she was in the car with you?
she would say, well, look at there. It says, stop here for so-and-so. And then she, oh, only 35 miles an hour. She never would say slow down or look out or anything. She was very tactful, but she read all the signs.
Do you remember the time that she was spending the night at our house and she came out as she was asleep and she was sleepwalking and walked into the living room? Do you remember that?
No, I know she sleepwalked.
You may not have seen that, but she came out and said that there were all these different colored horses in the living room the next morning. Anyway,
I don't remember.
You were probably doing the dishes or something like we should have been doing.
Well, you know, at Christmas for a couple of years we had 13 people in that little house on Middleton. We had Gary, Mary Beth, and one time both Kelly and Christian, and Mary Beth's mother and Mary Beth's sister, and my mother and Sydney's mother, and you two and us two. We were, I think that
this is in Tamarix you're talking about?
Huh?
In Tamarix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mary Beth's mother and sister came and spent 2 or 3 Christmases with us.
What was interesting about Gary as a child?
Oh, he was very obedient, very good child. If you said don't do it, he didn't do it. When he was 1.5 years old, he'd touch something he wasn't supposed to, and I'd slap his hand, so don't do that, and that was the end of it. Never touched it again. He was too obedient. He was a very, very good child. He had, I think it was chicken pox when he was about 4, and he had temperature 104, and he just laid in the bed like a zombie. And I called Dr. Miller, and he said, pick him up and put him in a bathtub full of ice water. Put cold water and put as much ice in as you can. And so Frances Olenberg was there, and she helped me pick him up and put him in the tub. Anyway, he was a good child, and he and Bobby used to play together and whatnot, but Bobby always took advantage of him. Always took advantage of him. If you buy them each an airplane, Bobby would break his airplane and he'd switch them.
He took after Bob, didn't he?
He'd switch them. And, anyway, no, he was a good child. In fact, I guess, I expected him. You're supposed to be 2 years old, you're trained. No more diapers or anything. That's how it is. It says so in the book. So that was it. He didn't have a chance. But that was Dr. Spock's book. My mom sent me that, I remember. Oh. Anyway, now you want me to tell you about Robin? Robin was pretty good. And you were good a little until you got about 3 or 4, and then you got stubborn. And I used to have to take you shopping because I had nobody to leave you with. And every time I took you shopping, you'd kick somebody or do something, and I had to leave. You didn't like it, so you said, "I'm getting out of here." Oh. I wonder why you did that.
Kelly and Christian.
Oh. Well, they came and spent a couple of weeks with us most summers. Well, a lot of the time while Gary and Mary Beth were away. Went to Europe or something, and then I went over there a couple times and stayed with them. One time when I went and stayed with them, and they went skiing. And what's the matter? They went skiing anyway, and so Christian woke up with his legs aching. Couldn't move. His legs were killing him. So I put him in bed with me, and I couldn't find anything wrong with his legs, and waited till he didn't sleep at all. So the next morning I called the doctor, and got an appointment, so we went there, and of course it was a rainstorm. And in California, when it pours rain, when you go under the underpasses, they flood, you know. So we had to go around, and he was moaning, and Kelly started throwing up. Oh man, that was, and they couldn't find out. He couldn't find what was wrong with him, and we didn't do anything. We came back, they X-rayed and everything, nothing wrong. I guess he just missed his mom and dad, and that was his body's way of showing it or something, because he really was in agony, you know.
You don't think that they were sick since Kelly was throwing up? And
Well, Kelly, yeah, had a bug. I don't know, maybe he did too, but he didn't have any other symptom.
what else do you remember about Kelly as a child?
Oh, she was a good child, very precise and very, very good child. And I guess Mary Beth was pretty strict with her too, I would say. Dude, just great in California. And they do well up in Dallas. They have the rose gardens, you know. In Texas, they have beautiful rose gardens up there. And it's hot there. Hot. But, hello.
These are so different than the big fat ones.
Yeah.
I really like these.
But you do have to spray them and
I need to
stuff,
turn the
you
macro
know?
on.
Drop them on the ground, it's contagious.
Fish out here. Yes, monsieur. And merci, monsieur.
What do you call this garden, Lauren?
The rose garden.
Yes, the rose garden.
Golden Gate Park.
The Golden Gate Park Rose.
USA.
Where's your engagement ring?
I don't have it
Why not?
because I lost
Well,
it.
tell us the story.
I've been telling the story.
Start over again.
No
Come
way,
on, Mom,
Jose.
you can do it. Come on.
It was during the war, and you couldn't get diamonds, and so her mom had to.
You could get diamonds, but everything was very expensive, and Cindy didn't have much money. That was the main thing. If you had plenty of money, you'd go to the jewelry store and buy them, I'm sure, but things were quite tight then, and he didn't have any source of, he hadn't been saving his money up or anything, so anyway, we bought my wedding band. Actually, this is my wedding band. It's so thin, and it's too small, but it's very, very thin. It's worn out practically, my wedding band. But we went and bought the wedding band in Palm Beach and it's a very simple, narrow little gold band with a couple little chips of diamonds that you can hardly see. And that was, I very well remember, $125 for that ring at that time, you know, which was a lot of money. That was more than, that was all Cindy could afford, you know.
Well, take off this so you can
This is my
see
mom's wedding ring, actually.
Oh,
This
that's
one.
not the one you bought for
That's, no,
$125.
no, I've still got it at home, but it's so thin,
Oh,
and it doesn't go over my knuckles or anything. So I
That's
can't
a pretty
wear it.
ring, though.
Huh?
So what happened to the ring?
Yeah. So, okay, so I didn't have an engagement ring, so my mom gave one of her diamonds, which was, I think, her original engagement ring. She gave one, she had a couple of them, and she gave one to Bob for Dorothy, and she gave one to Sydney for me. And so I had the ring, but it was too big for me, so I bought a guard because I didn't want to have it cut down because I was very thin at that time. Because after Gary was born, I lost a lot of weight and went down to 104. And I only weighed 104 for a long time, which was very thin for me because I've got big bones, you know, big feet, big hands, big
But that
Big
was before you
mama,
had
huh?
That was before you had Gary, though, right?
No, that was after I had Gary.
The engagement?
That's when I lost the weight. So
Why-
then, anyway, we went to New Orleans with his cousins, and we went shopping, and then we went and met some of their friends, and we were eating lunch, and one of the ladies said, "I'm admiring your diamond, it's just lovely." And I said, "Oh, thank you, that was fine." So then we went shopping and did some more shopping. I went and tried on something. I don't remember even what it was. Nothing that I bought, you know, but I tried it on anyway. And then I went to look at, that's when I went to look at the gloves. And when I was doing that, Dot said, "Benny, what did you do with your ring?" And I said, "What do you mean?" "No ring."
Oh, no.
So we went back where I had upstairs where I had tried on things, and
who noticed it?
I don't know if it was Dot or I think it was Dot. Anyway, never could find it. Of course, that was the end of my ring, and so I've really.
So you had
felt
to cancel the engagement?
I was already married and had a baby, so didn't couldn't do that.
Mimi and the dogs. Mimi,
Okay.
tell us about your history with dogs, the canine family.
Okay, let me think. The first one I was, I don't know, very young. I was a baby, and the dog got a bone caught in his throat. It was Cocker Spaniel, and his name was Larry. And he kept drooling and didn't eat and whatnot, and so they took him to the vet, and the vet said he was afraid he had dumb rabies. And my mom said, oh, she didn't think so. He'd had his shots and everything, and he shouldn't have anything. When they talked the vet into isolating him, and up out of the vet's up on way in the back, they had a separate cage, and they put him back there. And he survived for a week, and they said, well, if he had had rabies, he would have died. So my mom made custard and whatnot, and he ate the custard, and so they found out he had his fishbone in his throat. And that dog was a neighbor, when we were sledding and whatnot, came over with his dog, and he hit him on the side, and it knocked a rib, I think, into his kidney. Could he do that? Mm-hmm. And anyway, they had to put him to sleep. Then this next one was a Cocker Spaniel. My family got to replace that one. And his name was Billy, and one of my brother's friends ran over him because he used to run along the car waiting for us to get out and whatnot. And anyway, a big accident. The next one was Piddles, and he was a Belgian police dog that my dad got for me when I was in high school. And he was a cute dog, but he piddled all over the place. And one of the neighbors, I didn't pay that much attention to him, unfortunately. I was too busy doing other things. And a little girl down the street used to come and get him and take him for a walk. And so my mom and dad we were going to Florida, and so they gave the little girl the dog. And then when we were in Florida, my mom's good friend gave me a dachshund puppy. She raised him, and they were prize dachshunds and whatnot. And he was really little, about this, like this. And I took him back to Connecticut, and I had an Angora hat, and I put the dog in the hat and wrapped him up, and I took him to the movies and whatnot with me. And he would stay the whole time while I was in there. But anyway, same thing. I was in high school and busy liking boys and sports and not playing with the dog like I should, you know. So anyway, they gave him away. When we moved then we were in Connecticut, we went back to Florida. And then I didn't have a dog until that was the last one, until I got married. And then Daddy bought me, I can't think what would and dog's name was pretty cocker, but the lady wouldn't let us keep him. We were renting this was kind of a garage apartment, in the attic really, and she said no dogs allowed. So we had him. We gave him to Mom and Dad, and then after that, the next one was Mike the boxer. And my dad gave that one to Gary. And he was a nice dog, but he was a big dog, and we had a little house. And we used to play bridge all the time, and he loved to get under the bridge table and lay on everybody's feet. And and he was antagonized by our neighbor's dog, who was a little terrier, rat terrier or something they called him, little bitty thing, and he used to come down and bark at the dog. And so finally one day Cindy went out and opened the gate, and he said, "Go get him, Mike." And they went tearing off all down through the neighborhood, under everybody's house, and knocking. Pipes were going bing, bang, bang, and whatnot. And so until the dog was George Olenberg's dog, and George thought that was the best dog. But anyway, he finally got home and got to George's house, and George took him in and whatnot. Another day, that dog, we were going back to St. Martinville, and we had the dog with us, and the window was open, and I had a leash on him, and he jumped out of the car. But we were right in the neighborhood. But in fact, we were right, Mike did, we were right by the Olenberg's house, and I guess he thought he was going to go see about that dog again. Anyway, he jumped out, and he didn't get hurt miraculously, because I still had the leash. But anyway, Sidney stopped, and he was okay. And then the last one, then we had, after him, we had a poodle for a while, but he got run over. And then we had, I guess we had the dog that Gary bought for me.
The Jet?
No, Jet came after. No, we had Jet first. And Jet got run over with you when the maid took you for a walk, and the dog followed always. And when we came home, that dog was always sitting on the front steps waiting for us. Always, every day. We came home that day and he wasn't there. And well, we knew we couldn't find him. We didn't know what was wrong. And so Sidney went and he found him down by the lake where he'd been run over. But she was a sweet dog. But anyway, that's...
What about Powder Puff Polenard?
Well, then I had that shortly after that. That was when I used to get the bad migraines, and I was in bed really tossing my cookies and whatnot. And Gary and his girlfriend, he was a summer, he was working at the chemistry lab, and making enough money that he went and bought the puppy and brought her home, put him in bed with me.
Wow, that was sweet.
So,
I didn't realize that Gary had bought Puff for you.
Uh-huh. And then we had a poor soul.
Catahoula Cur.
Yeah, that Blake brought home. Mm-hmm. Blake was awarded as a prize. He's the only one that got the puppy. Yeah, and he was a good dog. He really was. But my mom named him. She just thought it was. She said, "Oh, he's such a nice dog. That poor soul's out there in the cold by himself." But he really was a good dog.
Poor soul. Now, what did you? We never had another dog after that. Then we just got cats after that, huh?
No, we never had cats.
Well,
we didn't get cats until you all were gone, and after Daddy had a stroke.
2 cats.
Well, after Daddy had that stroke, Daddy and I kept Robin's dog, you know, for a couple of years while she was in.
Oh, I didn't realize it was 2 years that you had.
Well, a year and a half.
Was that Penny or? After Penny.
That was a Penny. And while she was on the road with Emerson, and she was a good dog, and Cindy really liked her too. But she had kidney problems, and I was having to give her a shot every day, and Cindy would hold her while I gave her the shot. But she'd just stay there and let us do it. You know, she was such a good dog. But
you like the cats now better than dogs?
No, they're just different in this stage of my life. The cats are probably better because I don't have to worry about going out at night and walking them and whatnot like I would a dog.
Yeah.
And really, when Gary and Pam brought them, it was after Daddy had a stroke, and they thought they'd be company for Daddy, I think, you know, and he enjoyed them, and he used to fuss all the time. He used to say, the damn cats, and all the time they would be in his lap, and he'd be petting them. Mm-hmm. We got pictures of him like that, all curled up. Yeah. So he enjoyed them.
Yes.
But they are still, good pets, but different.
So what do you think about Boo Boo?
Oh, I think he's going to give Magnum a run for his money, I think.
Yeah.
He's a cute puppy, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how they progress their friendship, how they get along as she gets bigger or he gets bigger. See if Magnum warms up or if he just, that'll just be very interesting to see, I think. Me a Cocker Spaniel puppy, cute little puppy for my birthday in February. And I hadn't been driving but a couple of weeks, and I had the puppy on the seat beside me, and that was in Punta Gorda, which is a kind of rural little town at that time with open ditches and whatnot. Anyway, the little dog fell off the seat, and so I leaned down to pick up the dog, but I forgot to take my foot off the gas, and I ended up in the ditch. And I don't know if it must have cracked or bent the axle is what it did. I had to call somebody to tow me out. And I remember Cindy was telling that story when my aunt and uncle were visiting. And they said, what did she break? Oh, she broke the axle. But the way he said it, they couldn't understand with his accent. That was Ethel. She had trouble understanding him at first.
So what did you say about Dad's chicken loving days?
Yeah, well, he always did. Up to the day he died, he'd love fried chicken. And he used to always say, well, let's stop there at Popeyes and get some fried chicken. Every time we were out, he wanted to stop when we were in Jacksonville. But when we first got married, they had a place in, I guess it's when we were in Shreveport. They had a place right near the bridge between Bossier City and Shreveport that served fried chicken. I can't think of the name of it. But we used to go there and he'd eat a whole fried chicken. He really liked fried chicken. But anyway, he never gained weight then at all. You know, he used to eat a lot, but he never gained a pound because he was, I guess, youth that, don't gain weight like you do when you get older. Let me see if I can think of something else to tell you. Of course, he loved his mama's cooking, and she was a good cook.
What do you remember about Nan?
You mean his mom?
Yeah.
I called her Nan, not Nana. She was Nan to everybody, which is what the terminology, I think, for like godmother in French. And so I asked her what she wanted me to call her, and she said, well, call me Nan like everybody else. So that's what I called her, Nan, and I guess you all called her Nan too. So she was a very independent lady, worked hard, and didn't have a whole lot of fun out of life. Her husband died when she was let's see, I guess about 46 or something, because she had Sydney when she was 30. When she got married, she took her dolls with her. She got married, I think, at 16. And she told me she took her dolls with her when she got married. But her mother died when she was a little girl, and she was raised by another family. She and Uncle Albert, I think, were raised together by someone. I don't know I didn't know the people. And Aunt Agnes, I don't know, her father, Nan's father, married again, and I guess Nan was not close to her stepmother, and so therefore Sydney wasn't there. Didn't speak particularly well of her. But Nan idolized her father. She talked to me more about her father than she ever did her husband, you know. She really idolized him.
What'd she tell you about him?
Yeah, she was evidently very close to her father, and then he came. I guess the stepmother died first, and then Sydney's grandfather came and lived with them and died at their house. And Sydney said that he, and I don't believe it, because sometimes he'd embellish a little story. It started out to be true, but he'd make it a little bit better. And he said that he helped embalm his grandfather. Well, I don't know that they would have let him do that. I would think his mother would have not done that. I don't know. Anyway. Anyway, her husband died, and it was during the Depression, and he had made he ran the poker game at behind Neen's store, and he worked in the store, and then he ran the poker game. Neen, his good friend, who owned a lot of property.
You're talking about Dad's dad now.
I'm talking about Daddy's dad, yeah. Neen owned a lot of property, and he had a store for his tenants. He had tenant farmers all over, and he had a store where they had grain and rice and all the basics and food. And Sydney's dad worked in the store, and then behind the store they had a card room, I guess it was, and he ran a poker game there at night. And I don't think it was for the tenants. I think that was for other people. That because of course this was way before my time. His dad died, when he was 16. But he had a safe, and in the safe he had some bonds and stocks and stuff. And but most of it was worthless. But Nan held on to it, and gave it to Sydney, and some of it he got some money from. And because it was bought, the grocery store that went kaput, and then it was bought, and so on, and developed, and then they divided the shares and so forth. But anyway, he got something from some of those, and I still have a couple in my drawer that are not worth anything. They say, but we kept them, and I have one that my mom and dad gave me, not worth anything, but they're there, But anyway, she worked very hard. She knitted, and every time somebody was sick, she was there to help them. And Nan, I'm talking about Sydney's mom, and she knitted anything to make a little money. She, worked. She painted in her own house, and she did all her own gardening, and she just worked hard, really. But things didn't worry her. She'd get up, and the house would be all in disarray, and she'd say, "Well, let's go to town," or whatever, And of course, I was brought up that, well, before you go, you clean up, make your bed and whatnot or something. And she wasn't. You know, she wasn't like that. And she was a good sport. And she first, you know, she did. I don't think she liked me at first, because here comes this young whippersnapper from up in Connecticut down, and it took her a while. And I was so young, I always remember I was sweeping the floor, and there were some safety pins on the floor, and now I wouldn't do that. But that time I got the dustpan, and I just was picking them up, and she got so upset because I wasn't picking up the pins, you know, because she was very frugal and whatnot. And of course, now I wouldn't do that. But then I didn't even think, you know, I was, what, 19 or something, didn't dawn on me. So, and she.
So did she
me a couple times when I wanted to. She went somewhere. She helped me paint the room that Cindy and I had, and paint the room, the little sun porch off that where Gary had his crib and whatnot. And we even took the baseboards up, because they had the wide boards for the flooring. I don't know if it was pine or what, but really nice flooring. Anyway, we took the baseboards off, and the way the house was made, when you took off the baseboard, because the walls were, not sheetrock, just like cheesecloth on, I guess it was on metal mesh or something. But I don't know exactly how. Anyway, when you took the baseboards off, it opened down till the house was raised off the ground. And so, in order, the floors were almost black because they were so old, the wood, you know, had darkened so much. And so we took lye, this is the way they did it then, lye, and made a solution and bleached those floors, and then hosed it off. And it went down and whatnot. And so, anyway, we did all that, but then, and so, anyway, as I say, I think she worked hard, and she didn't. The first time we took her to Florida, when we went to, over beyond, not as far as Pensacola. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. Down below Mobile, we went on. You went with us, I think, and we brought Robin and you and Nan and I, and we brought Celeste. You don't remember that, huh?
Vaguely, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the farthest she'd ever. No, she had come to Florida. When we got married, Cindy said she's too old, she can't come to the wedding, and I think that upset her, because I think she would have come to the wedding, but I don't know if he didn't invite her, or he told her that, or that she couldn't come, or whatever. And let's see, how old was she at that time? Let's see, 80, 90. She wasn't that old. In the 40s, she was only like 50, you know, or 50, when he said she's too old, she can't come. So his cousin, Morse and Pete was in the Navy, and he was stationed in Miami. They came up to the wedding. And then they called her and told her all about it and so forth. And then the next year, when we were living in Punta Gorda, I guess it was, she came with Dot and Dag down to Marcel's, because Marcel was expecting Louisette Tweetsy. And they're a very close family.
We're now in London.
No, that's our second day. What did we do the first day? First day we went to the theater. We rode the tube back and forth, up and down. Spent most of the day underground, I think.
Right.
And then we went to see the Phantom.
This is a picture of.
You think I would fit in there?
This is a picture of Mummy. Here we are standing in front of Buckingham Palace. How did you get the Queen to invite you to spend the night there tonight?
I just smiled.
this month, I guess.
I think the statue up there is impressive. You ought to take a picture. Hey, what's going bad?
What is going bad?
On our trip? Nothing.
What happened today?
We missed the train to Windsor, but actually we made up our mind too late to do that. We had too many choices. We just couldn't decide. So we got the train, but we missed one by half a minute, and so we had to wait for the next train. But I don't think we would have gotten there in time anyway because they could sell them the tickets. So
Mommy, tell us about a bit of good luck, Mommy.
Well, we thought it was going to be closing. It's open, so we missed lunch or look at the go to the castle. So guess who won the castle?
So what did you think of Windsor Castle here?
Oh, I thought it was quite impressive. Very beautiful. Lots of gorgeous furnishings and paintings and tapestries and whatnot. And the fire really did a job on it, didn't it?
It really did. It wiped out a few rooms there.
But they're lucky they didn't lose any of the artifacts. They none of the rugs, or the anything. The paintings were all removed, and all the only thing, one painting, large painting, got some damage done.
Yeah.
The 7th was closed for 3 weeks.
This is the shambles. You see the building leaning over the sidewalk or the road, almost touching the other building. People, they could shake hands from one building to the other.
Yeah.
Are you getting me in the picture again?
Yes.
So what was your favorite vacation?
Oh, well, one of them was when we went to France with you all. I thought that was great. I enjoyed that.
What was your favorite part about that?
I guess getting on the train and whatnot, all the things, and I would look at the pictures the other day, and I remember there's one where Lisa's pointing to some sign on, I can't even remember what the sign, I think it was to the restroom or something, and
I've got you on camera now.
but why it was so funny, I don't remember, but anyway. And then another one walking down one of the avenues in Paris, and you pointing out the McDonald's. I've got a picture of that too. But it was just, not everybody was relaxed and happy and together, or not, we weren't doing anything that different or special. It was just a nice time having everybody together. Unfortunately, Gary wasn't there, but the rest of us, I think Robin enjoyed it, and I think you all did too. I said this is the most sumptuous hunting lodge in history.
Where is it?
It is Chambord.
I don't see it anywhere. Where is it?
It's the dream come true of the young 25-year-old king.
Oh, there it is. Jeez, I don't know how I could have missed that. Whose is it?
It is the dream come true of young 25-year-old King Francis I, carried by the success of his first military campaigns, and fond of the Loire Valley's sweet way of life, he decided to build the most sumptuous hunting house in history.
How many bedrooms does it have?
300 and something or other.
440?
Let's see. It is surrounded by a wall, 31 kilometers, a wall. Okay. Yeah.
Salade de jeu.
Thank you.
Good for you. Which one? Are you guys all doing this one or this one? This one?
Yeah, I'm having a green salad and the Ginny's special.
So you're not getting this?
No, I couldn't, because you all didn't know what that was.
Qui donc qui vient avec sa palette et tout? Oui, vous êtes de la choucroute déjà avec, c'est garni. Hein.
Oh, c'est garni, oh, c'est
bien servi.
I want to find out what the plate is. I don't understand.
And this, I think, well,
We need to do something about the presentation.
Ma mère. Ma mère. Just pay it for it. Oh, I'm not supposed to be. No, this is true. You put it down.
and then the outside, this looks.
So you like living in Florida?
I like the sunshine. I like the beach. I like being near the water. And because I guess there are beaches all over, but it's one of the nicest beaches, I think, as far as temperature of the water, kind of sand without rocks, and there's a lot to do in Florida, lots and lots of things, places to go, things to do. It's easy to go other places, get out of here, go up.
What's your favorite beach memory?
That I'd have to think about that. I don't have one that jumps out. One of the nicest ones is renting a house on the water with the family. It's, I guess, before Christmas, before Daddy died. That was very nice. And then last year was a good year.
How'd you hurt it?
When I was little in Connecticut, we used to, my mom and dad rented a house at the beach.
Oh no, my teeth.
And, so I've been going to the beach a long time.
We were running for the
Lots
goal.
of memories about beaches. When you all were little, going to Florida, and you taking you for the first time. I remember taking Robin for the first time, and she said, "Oh, look at the snow."
Yeah, keep that hat on.
Very becoming.
It looks nice.
Yeah. So,
how old was she?
She probably was 4 or 5.
Remember that time we went with you to watch fireworks at the beach?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
down here.
Yeah, I was down here, and then
Yeah.
there was a lot of them. It was really nice. It was like constant fireworks. So one of the best fireworks I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, we have fireworks out here now, and they still have them down at the beach, and they have them downtown too. But they don't run the bus down there anymore, so you have to go under your own steam.
Now, I thought that you guys might have a question for the Mimi Meister. Any questions you have about her childhood, about any of her offspring, about any of her adventures? What do you, Lauren?
Who was your favorite child?
I was about to ask that.
My favorite child. Oh, well,
What made him stand out from the others?
He
I
was just so different.
So good. I was so good.
He's so talented.
Oh.
Do you remember when we were born?
Yeah, I remember going to, was it Shreveport? Where was it? No.
I was born in
Birmingham,
Tampa.
huh?
I was born in Tampa.
Tampa.
I was born in Birmingham.
Went to Tampa, but I drove over there, and I remember we went to that water.
Busch Gardens?
No, we went to. It was a state park, I guess, a spring. We walked around in the water.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it. Anyway, that was different. I'd never done that. It was like a wading pool or something.
Yeah, Crystal River Springs or something like that.
But,
next question.
I think she was still talking.
I was. Then I remember Pop and I pushing you around at, must have been Birmingham, I guess. A park we went to. You were in the stroller. And I remember pushing you around the park. And then I remember, weren't you living in an apartment when Lauren was born?
Yes. We lived in apartments when all of our children were born, except for Mark and Missy. Yeah, and the other ones too. But okay, just you guys were apartment children.
Missy was born where? In Savannah?
That's right.
And I remember when we went to Europe, and that's just when, and Lisa said she was pregnant with Mark, and she had so much trouble with allergies. And so what was her name, at that chateau, Madame Vicente, was so protective, I guess you might say, or interested in taking care of Lisa because she was pregnant and she had this really full-blown allergy. You remember that? No? Oh, well.
So were you born in a house in Greenwich?
I was born in the hospital in Greenwich.
Oh, they had those back then.
Yeah, I think even my mom was born in the hospital. There's Andy. Hi, Andy.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Where have you been?
Mike and I were just playing tennis.
Playing who?
Tennis
Oh,
with Mark.
good for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Did he beat you?
Somewhat. We played Australian doubles, so.
With Mark on one side.
There's Mark on one side. We all rotated to one side.
Oh,
So.
that'd be hilarious.
It was pretty good.
Cool.
Okay.
We're asking Mimi about her youth.
What are you making?
What are we making? A mess. A duvet cover for Law. And it's the Velcro that's giving us the problem. You just have to push and pull.
We thought it would be easier than making all the buttonholes on the stretchy jersey, but alas.
Foiled.
I figured it out.
What? I think. Lana has that down quilt that she just loves. Didn't she say that was her? Her first joy or her immediate thanks? When we were saying what we were thankful for,
Yeah.
she was thankful for her down comforter.
She's gonna really like this. Did she pick out the material?
Yeah, I think, didn't she and Sarah pick out the material? These? What do I have to say to posterity? I hope my children have as good a life as I do and my grandchildren. I hope they live as long and as healthy, have as much fun. More fun. More fun. They have more opportunity. Hi.
Hey.
Oh, cute little dog.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's my wishes or my prayers or whatever you want to call them.